This weekend is all about who can stand the heat, and it's about to be turned up a notch as we get ready for the first race of the weekend in the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former driver Joey Atterbury. Joey, this track is no doubt going to make it a tough one today.
It is going to be a hot, humid, difficult race for all of these drivers inside these GT3 Cup cars. And of course, we are located here at VIRginia International Raceway, right on the border pretty much of North Carolina and Virginia. We had mentioned the weather. It is hot. It is humid. It's about 90 degrees ambient temperature out here. The humidity is well above 70%. And let's take a look at this 17-turn, 3.27 mile circuit. It is filled with elevation change, and it is a very fast racetrack. Old school, if you must say so, a little bit narrow in places, a couple areas to look out for. Turn number 1, good passing opportunity. Turn number 14, another great passing opportunity. And the run up to Oak Tree through the uphill S's, my personal favorite part of this racetrack.
Really iconic looking, without a doubt. But it's time to go through our starting grid for today's race. A lot of cars, as Cole Kleck has claimed another pole position. Danny Jashelski's first time in the GT3 Cup is going to be P2. Then you've got our pole for the Masters with Caden Kelly. Scott Blend going to be lining up next to him to deny him a victory. Chris Hutter going to be starting 5th overall with Joel Johnson in P6. Then it is Hinkle starting in 7th today, followed by Bowden in P8, rebounding great after having some car issues earlier. John Gilliland will start 9th, and Joey, it looks like Tony Melito will round out our top 10.
Yeah, and then over into 11th, we've got Todd Treffert. Starting in 12th, next to him is going to be Tim Kesman. And then in 13th, we've got Ryan Holdcron, followed up with Brady Behrman. In 15th spot, we have got Laura Eli following with Gaffarov out here in 16th position. In 17th, we've got Willingham with Ross Poole starting in 18th. Therese Lalu is going to be starting in 19th with Frank Vitiello in 20th.
After that is Josh Conley, 21st, with Levitas in 22nd. Eric Lapp starting 23rd. Tuity is going to be starting 24th today. Quarter century mark goes to John Manship. After that, Patrick Womack will be starting 26th. Dan Ammon, 27th, doing double duty this weekend. An impressive job. Woody Witchard, 28th, and Javier Ripoll Jr. in 29th. Greg Shermer starts 30th with Francisco De Jesus 31st, and Groombridge rounding out our field. We are ready to go today. Will we get a nice clean race, or is the heat going to turn things up and cause it to boil over? Green flag is out. It's a good start for Cole Kleck as he starts to take off away from Jashelski. And in fact, Jashelski is under threat from behind him as our Masters drivers try to slide up the inside. Looks like he's going to lose that P2. And Blend going to be separated unless he can make this pass as well. It looks like that was Kelly getting through.
Oh, a little bit of door banging between Jashelski and Blend there going into what is NASCAR Bend turn number 3. But you are right. Jashelski has fallen from 2nd down to 3rd position. We've got heavy contact here in the turn 3 wall on the outside wall. Not sure which car that was.
I think that was Chris Hutter, it looks like, as he's suddenly gone to the back of the field on our timing and scoring. He seems to have had a big hit because that car was firmly lodged in the tires out of NASCAR Bend. So far, no full course yellow. They're maybe just trying to let the cars sort themselves out as long as it wasn't a dangerous incident. Meanwhile, for Caden Kelly is there we go. Now we get the full course yellow. It looks like there is some pretty big damage on the back of the car, and they're going to have to replace those tires as well.
Yeah, you see the damage to the tire bundle, and looks like the corner workers over there got a front row seat. I hope that they were able to avoid anything over there, but it looks like the safety crew's already talking to the driver. Seems A-okay, just the car has seen better days.
Not what you want here, first racing lap of the weekend, to suddenly cause some extra work to the crew. Find yourself put on the back foot for tomorrow. Everybody slows down now. Sounds like we might be able to see an onboard as to what happened with Hutter. All we saw so far was just a car suddenly into the barrier after it had already happened, but he was a little bit farther down the field, of course, so there's plenty of things, Joey, that can go awry when you're stuck amidst that action.
And it's the first lap in sector number 1. Sure, maybe the first couple cars are single file, but let's cue up this replay. So we're riding on board, actually, with Hutter in the 281 machine. Let's see exactly what happens. It's got one car drivers left. Oh, it's just way out wide into the marbles, and you see how fast you're going at that part of the racetrack. A heavy left side impact, but I do not see any other cars involved. I think he was just out in the dirty stuff.
And really grateful, because you could see that car really bounce, that it stayed right side up, so that we didn't have more of a mess to try and clean up here in a more potentially dangerous situation. So excellent work from the car designers all the way down to the corner workers here, that hopefully we can get away with this one and get back to racing. Yeah, it didn't seem like there was any contact, just out wide. I think that was DeJesus on his inside, and maybe just wasn't used to being that far outside the racing line.
It was definitely too wide. You saw the car on driver's left exiting turn number 1. So I think that the car that made the impact down there, Hutter, was just maybe a little bit further out to driver's right than he probably wanted to be, especially on the opening lap when maybe everything's not completely up to temperature. Maybe the track is a little bit dirty from the race before. Just very, very unfortunate to start that one out for the 281.
Race control is saying that the 216 was also off course at turn 3. Now, I didn't see anything of that on the onboard, so I suspect that was unrelated. And thankfully, it looks like no major damage for John Manship. Trying to see where he is. Yeah, he's sitting 30th, so he did lose some positions, it appears, or is at least towards the back of the field because of that off track. So he'll have some work to do to try and make up. 35 minutes plus a lap is this race. We'll have plenty of time to clean this up. In fact, there you go. Images of poor Hutter's car going to be taken back to the paddock to get worked on. But as long as they can replace that tire bundle nice and easily, I'd say we'll be going back green shortly.
Definitely a sad day for the race car, but I'm sure the team will get it all fixed up, and Hutter will get back out there, and hopefully we'll see him racing tomorrow for race number 2. I think that the bigger cleanup, Joe, is probably just going to be reorganizing those tire bundles, because safety is always important. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the structure, the roll cage of these cars, the safety in the actual race cars, but also got to make sure that those tire bundles are put back where they were, so that way, just in case, let's say another car goes off in the exact same way, we want to make sure they are safe as well.
The best way I've always heard it described is it happened once, it can happen again. So, yeah, it's there's good reason why we try and put everything back as it was, so that all the safety measures do exactly what they're supposed to do in this situation. And VIR with really great facilities to make sure that the drivers stay safe out here, because there's definitely a number of very scary corners out there.
This is a very fast racetrack. I absolutely love coming here. This is easily one of the top circuits in North America. I was calling it easy top 5. In my list, it's easy top 3. It's just a beautiful facility. Everybody takes care of it. You know, Kerrigan Smith out here always making sure that VIR is a top-notch place to come and race. It doesn't matter if it's the beautifully manicured green grass that we got out here, the beautiful red barns that are the garages, the race control buildings, timing and scoring. It is all just a fantastic place. If you've never been to VIRginia International Raceway, I highly urge you to come out here. Drive it for yourself.
Yes, and we saw one of the Porsche staff obviously coming to inspect the car. That's one of the great things about this Porsche ladder system is up and down. It doesn't matter if it's the Super Cup or it's down here in Sprint Challenge. They have people that are looking at every single car when it has an accident like that. They're going over it with a fine-tooth comb. They want to make sure that they're happy with everything that they see, and that there isn't anything that they could potentially improve upon out there. And that's why they have the product that they do. Now, this is going to be interesting, Joey, because before we had P1 and P2 both in Pro-Am and Masters with each other on track at the start. Now, when they restart, they're each going to have a buffer between those P1 and P2s in each class. That's going to make for a bit of an odd dynamic out there.
And we're also, remember, going to be restarting single file once we do. It was the 2x2 in terms of the initial race start. And I feel like here at VIR, that outside lane can be a little bit of a disadvantage, right? The straightaway bends to the right. So if you're on that inside lane, technically you actually have a little bit of a shorter run into turn number 1. Not only that, but remember, the pole sitter sets the green flag launch, right? So when they go, it almost seems like that car in row number 2 on the inside kind of gets a similar jump to our pole sitter and can kind of pass that outside car that's got that longer distance to travel going into turn number 1. I wonder if we'll see Danny Deshelski, who lost that second place position, be a little bit more aggressive on a restart procedure.
And, yeah, exactly what you described is what Kelly did, is coming up from that row 2, just managed to take that lane away. We've talked about it before. For those that didn't tune in for our qualifying sessions, Deshelski's coming up from the Caymans. So this is a new car for him. He's still getting adjusted, and also up against different drivers from before.
Yeah, that's that VPX Motorsport, that number 252 car that's sitting in 3rd place overall that we're talking about. And I think he's doing a terrific job swapping out chassis. And, Joe, you're pointing something fun. I know there's a few animal-themed liveries, but it looks like they've taken it even further today.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed this before, but Laura Eli has what looks like a rubber duck. That's usually a Jeep thing, I think, but has brought it to Porsches. But that I do love that team. They have a lot of fun with everything, right down to even their logo and their livery. Usually being a little bit silly with things at times. So I'm sure Laura will get a chuckle when she goes back and watches us and see that we noticed as we jump on board with our leader, Cole Kleck. Lights still flashing on the safety car, so we're not getting started quite yet.
No, and I don't have a direct shot of that turn 3 area. I'm sure the track crew is doing a wonderful job getting it all repaired so we can go back racing as soon as possible. I was just kind of watching the data of what Cole was doing. Now, he was 100% throttle, and then he jumped on the brakes a little bit. There's a couple different procedures that the drivers can do under these yellow flag conditions. You'll often see them go left, right, weaving the car back and forth, and that can keep tire temperature in those Yokohama tires, but more importantly, it actually cleans the surface of them. Think about all that extra rubber on the outside of the track. You don't want that on your actual race tire when you go racing. So the left-right weaves tend to clean up the surface of the tire. That heavy braking, that's a little bit more for that temperature inside that brake rotor, inside that brake pad. Make sure those are ready to go when you actually go racing too. So the driver's not only keeping care of the tires, but also the brakes as well.
So much to think about that is more than just driving the car in racing, that keeps you busy and requires certainly a bit of multitasking, I imagine, inside the cockpit, while also trying to go so quickly around this track. And another really great shot from above to show you some of the cool facilities that they have, including the skid pad out here at VIR.
It's got a giant heart on it. It's like it's almost wanting us to go over there and slide on it.
There you go. It loves us. You can see there in the distance for a bit, we have the lodge as well, where you can stay right trackside. There's a number of great facilities out here. There's campsites, and they have the restaurant on site as well. And then up there, they're kind of small in this picture, but there's condos actually that they let out. And I have to imagine that is probably a hot ticket amongst race fans.
Probably the ultimate place to stay on a race weekend such as this. Watch those beautiful cars come up at you at speed through the uphill S's. You got to remember that is at the top of the uphill S's. So being able to go out there and look out the window and see these race cars hauling the mail at, what are they doing, 150 miles an hour up those uphill S's? It's pretty fun to watch the car do its thing.
Yep, exactly. I haven't been able to be inside one of them, but I have gotten to go up by the fence there and see at least a hint of the view. There we go. Get some pictures of the track workers. Look like they're pretty close to done, because that seems to be the last little gap that they're filling in of those tires. And then hopefully we should be out. In fact, they've still got extras off to the side just in case.
I think that's just extra bundles. It looks like
they got one more spot.
Yeah, one more spot that they're going to grab some of those bundles and fill in that bare spot on the wall. Make sure we got tire bundles out there everywhere. So we're going to stay under full course caution for probably another lap, maybe 2 laps. They're doing about 3.5-minute laps under the safety car.
Yeah, so they are going slow, but it's not a super slow lap around here. They're ticking a few of them off. Of course, they don't mean much other than the time really going away, since this is a timed race that they run. We'll just circulate one more time here as they come down to the bottom of Hogpen, and then we'll be merrily along their way. Yeah, we get the other angle of the loader, just putting those tires where they need to be and putting them nicely into place.
And just kind of as my brain wanders a little bit watching the cleanup, I'm sure that Hutter is probably going to feel that one tomorrow. That was a side impact, so that was definitely not a light impact. Job absorbing it, but most of the time when we think about those impact zones, it's front impact zones or rear impact zones. When you go into the tires sideways at speed with the door first, includes your arms.
Yeah, you make a good point. And again, a good reason to emphasize why they have the Hans device and all this gear on the driver to protect them inside that cell. To make sure that they can walk away from these. I mean, I guess for our audience, to illustrate, you think about the G-forces if you, say, fall off of something that's only 5 feet up. How much does that hurt? You're not going as fast as these cars are when they hit the wall, when you fall off of 5 feet of anything.
Yeah, no, they're definitely carrying momentum. Well, even in that turn 3 area, you got to remember you're accelerating up probably top of 3rd gear, if not middle of 4th gear, by the time you actually lift off of the throttle and kind of gingerly apply the brake pedal pressure going into NASCAR bend, because you can easily step out the rear if you apply too much brake into that corner. If you're out wide in that corner, we saw what happened to Hutter out there. Just the car got into that dirty stuff and pretty much had no chance.
Curious where Therese Lalu is currently, because she sits 3rd in the points, and she didn't have the best of qualifying. It looks like she's still down in 15th, but she is 5th in class. So probably not where she wants to be, but not too bad. We'll see if she can make up some positions in what is going to be a truncated race now, because as we mentioned before, Alan Metney not here. So Cole Kleck is probably going to be running away since he's up towards the front. Pace car has the lights off, so we are set to go restarting racing.
You see all of the cars now much more aggressive on that tire cleanup procedure. They got the word. They see those lights out, so they know they're going to go back racing. In fact, I think I see the pace cars starting to try to accelerate away, but Cole Kleck is pretty much sticking right there with them. I'm sure we'll get some shots of him coming down the hill here, and now he's letting the pace car really run away. It is all in the hands of that orange 211.
Cole Kleck was one of those that fell victim to some of the restart rules in times past, so I'm sure he has studied up on that book. He knows exactly what to do now, and is just trying to make sure he gets a nice start within the regulations that backs everybody up nice and easily, and it looks like he is going. It is a very good start for Dashelski, who's already on the attack for Caden Kelly.
Yeah, he is directly underneath the rear wing as Cole Kleck reaches the start-finish line. We going down into turn number 1. Does Dashelski make a move? Caden Kelly going right into the middle of the racetrack. Defensive, too wide into turn number 1.
Forced around the outside. He's now vulnerable to Blend, who would no doubt love to overtake that car to fight his rival in class. But no, he is going to have to sit behind once again. Behind them all, Joel Johnson is in 5th. Not too bad of a day for the 227. They'll come down into the left hook. Looks like we got a clean restart.
And now this corner right here, turn 5 and 5A, so crucial to get the run through the lower S's, through the snake, and accelerate your way up into these uphill S's. You see a little bit of a gap between Blend and Johnson back there, but directly behind Johnson, Mark Bowden in that fall line machine applying the pressure.
A lot of Masters drivers up here to the top of the field. You have to go down to Eric Hinkle and the 277 to get to the next of our Pro-Am cars. And he is actually on the podium down there in 7th place. So that tells you how many of the older drivers are taking up the top spots. We'll come off of Oak Tree this time. It looks like this could be a good run on the 246 here. Johnson now under threat.
Yeah, Bowden is really in that slipstream, and unfortunately Johnson is kind of in the middle of the racetrack. He does not have a drafting partner, if you will, right on board. Gilliland is. That was a look from our 3rd place car. That was Danny Dushelski coming up alongside Caden Kelly on the end of the back straightaway. So we were looking a couple cars back, but it seems like Danny, remember, he started on the front row. He wants back up there.
He's trying what he can, just can't seem to quite get there. It looked like it was a good run at first here off of Hogpen, but the car maybe faded a bit. Now who get that slipstream as they chase towards turn 1. I'd say he's a little too far back this time, but still a defense from Kelly.
Kelly did an excellent job. Oh, Cole Kleck way wide in turn number 1. He barely kept that thing on the racetrack. Good for the 211 to stay on the pavement, but that was an extremely close call, and he's trying to grow that lead between himself and 2nd place. The last thing he wants is mistakes.
Now, we've seen that from both in the Caymans and now here, that front runners making uncharacteristic errors out on the racetrack, still putting that pressure on. Oh, and we come over to Conley, who is slowly puttering into pit lane.
Yeah, this is the 299 car, but it looks like he will make it into pit lane, at least where he can be pushed from there on out, I'm sure. Unfortunately, VIR pit lane is a little bit uphill on the first half, so better have some good hydration for those crew members if they're going to be pushing it, as we keep our eye on Dushelski versus Kelly for 2nd place overall. We got to remember that Caden Kelly's in that Masters class, though.
Just an update. It looks like the 299 and 285 had something happen down at turn 17. So that's down around Roller Coaster and Hogpen. And that clearly has affected Conley more than Poole. Oh, no, excuse me. Poole looks like he is also in pit lane somewhere now from our timing and scoring. So maybe he also didn't get away clean. Meanwhile, we're back up to our top 2. Still fighting, top 3 really, but fighting for 2nd place as Kelly holds off Dushelski. Kind of surprised Blend isn't closer in this.
Me too, and really, I think that Danny is just trying to make a move on Caden Kelly sooner than later, because our leader, Cole Kleck, is already 2.5 seconds out in front. So Danny's in a good position here. Kelly's been going defensive. He doesn't go defensive this time. He leaves the inside open. Danny really deep on the brakes. Can he get the car stopped? He gets it down to apex and into 2nd place.
Wonder if this is Caden realizing this isn't my fight. This isn't for class position. The more I hold us up, the more I'm going to bring Scott into this one. So let's let him through. Let's see if he can help us pull a gap now that he is ahead. But boy, what a gap is he already. Oh, and he goes right back by. Never mind what I was saying. Caden Kelly wants that P2.
It must have been a mistake from Dushelski, because he was easily clear going into turn number 3, but that is such a tricky corner. If you run out wide, you can lose all of your momentum. And remember how I said it was 2.5 seconds to our leader? Because of that fighting, now 3.5 plus.
Wow, he is really running away with it. Cole Kleck trying to make it 6 wins out of 7 races here. Just an impressive start to the season. We got another car off. That's the 297. It's back on. This looks to be around turn 5.
And that was Eric Lapp in the 297, that JDX racing machine. Didn't see any other cars off, though.
So maybe just a bit of a slide. That is a corner where I've noticed it's easy to let the rear come out around on you if you just take it a little too hard. But what do we got here with a battle? Is that once again Caden and Dushelski? It is indeed.
I think this might be Gilliland. This looks to be a little bit more of a
right.
cow theme in the 280, so he is applying the pressure. I believe that's Johnson in the 227 directly in front of him. So that's actually the same battle that we were watching, but Mark Bowden has been able to sneak his way by, so he's been able to clear Johnson and get out in front, and now it's Gilliland trying.
Interesting. So also Melito looking like he's starting to get a little bit close to this fight. That could be fun. And we wondered why Blend wasn't closer. He's answered. It just took him a moment.
Let's see if Danny can make another move on Caden Kelly. I agree with you, Joe. I think that Kelly was honestly letting Dyshelski go and say, hey, yeah, if you feel like you can go chase down Cole Click, go for it. But now it's kind of second guessing, right? You let him by. He made a mistake. Who's actually faster to lead this group?
Yeah. Well, and to Caden's credit in this, as long as he has Danny behind him, that is a buffer between he and Blend. So, yes, they are not fighting for points paying positions, but he's actually playing a rear guard for him, even though he doesn't want to.
100% correct. Kelly is a Masters class, Dyshelski a Pro-Am class. So Scott Blend, who's that bright yellow machine that's kind of the third car in line, he is the one that's actually for the points position in that Masters class. So, yeah, I would say if I'm Caden Kelly, I want to keep Dyshelski behind me so that way you've got that buffer like you were talking about. Not only that, but second overall sounds a lot better than third overall.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of pride always on the line for these drivers. This is another big run out of Danny, but he runs out of straightaway by the end of Madison Avenue. Just can't quite get side by side before it's over. There's Bowden in behind them as there was a big wiggle out of Danny.
Kind of got up on that apex curb of what is kind of turn number 15 coming down the hill there and had a little bit of upsetness with that Porsche GT3 Cup car, but thankfully Fast Hands was able to save it. We've seen how capable this driver is, and looks like he's got it pointing the right direction again.
So these cars continuing to lose a lot of ground up to Kleck, up to 6 seconds now ahead of them. It's really been a runaway for Cole after things looked like maybe he'd be under threat early. But again, Danny Dyshelski is one who's new to this car. So I think this second place definitely needs to be a big credit to the speed that he's showing here in these early stages.
So this is the replay of Conley. Remember, we just had that incident a couple laps ago between himself and that other car, and that's exactly what happened. A little bit of contact down there in Hogpen.
I mean, everything was so close together. I'm glad that didn't wind up as a bigger accident, too. You could see how many cars were coming by at that moment. We return once again to the battle for P2 overall, but this is P2 in class, in the Pro-Am class, versus P1 in the Masters class, and it's been going on all race long while we've been under green. I do start to get the sense that Caden is maybe backing things up a bit, because the fact that Bowden is now right there in the mix, it seems like each of these cars might be a little bit faster.
You bring up an excellent point. Bowden's last lap time, a 1:52.2, and now we're side by side, but Dyshelski's on the wrong side of the road. So Caden Kelly, as long as he gets the car stopped, which he does nicely, is going to hang on to second place overall. But I think the pressure starting to mount even more. That gap up front, up over 7 seconds. Danny wants by.
He really does. And we have to remember he's a bit of a younger driver, maybe a little bit less experienced. I mean, is there a chance that he could get over-ambitious in this situation?
100%. You can definitely think way too big for your move going into what would be turn number 1 as we watch him go through there. And I think that if I'm the driver coach right now, I'm looking, we got 9.5 minutes left plus a lap. It's, call it an 8-second gap to the lead. I don't think that realistically we can go chase down the lead for the win. So to your point, be smart here. Don't overstep the limit. Play nicely with all of your competitors around. Remember, they don't know who Danny Dyshelski is. Make sure they have a high regard at the end of this race.
And also, Blend and Bowden are masters, so Hinkle is his next worry. If he lets both of them by, he still doesn't lose any points on this. I don't think we're going to see him do that, especially now that they've kind of backed off a little bit, and he's again laying the pressure on thick to that purple and blue Caden Kelly 208, but nothing doing coming up into Oak Tree this time by. Continuing to lose ground lap after lap to the impressively fast Cole Kleck.
We'll keep our cameras here, obviously, but yeah, that last lap out of Cole, a 151.6. Compare that out of these two machines that we're watching, 153.0. So it seems like Cole has got his machine hooked up on some rails.
Not as close this time. No side-by-side down into roller coaster between these two. Maybe something out of hog pen, though, if he could try and get himself a launch. Credit to Caden Kelly. He gave up the position only once so far. Meanwhile, we got some side-by-side a little bit farther down the field, heading towards that roller coaster bend. Oh, and now he's got to run. I said he could try and get a launch out of Hogpen. It looks like he was listening. And Dashelski's got a car ahead. Does he chop off down to the apex? He's going to leave him a little bit of space. Fair play, and he still holds on to the spot, although it is right on the edge for Kelly.
It was a little loose putting the throttle down. Let's see if Kelly can try to do an over-under. Remember, after Dashelski first made this pass, this was the area of the racetrack that he had that little bit of a bobble and gave the position right back. It seems like he's going to navigate through turn 5A nicely, accelerate down through the snake here and head into the uphill S's. It seems like he has finally got the pass accomplished and very cleanly.
And you know what this means. First, second, and third in Masters is nose to tail now. This is all for podium positions between these three. Scott Blend, no doubt, going to want to try and get by. In fact, he's going to take a big look coming into South Bend. That does not pan out. No shock there. That is a hard place to pass.
Usually not a passing opportunity, and look at that third car in line. That is Mark Bowden in the 246. He pretty much started in the middle of the pack, has passed several cars, cut down that gap, and like you said, is now battling for what is first in the Masters class. That last lap time, actually the fastest of this trio.
Scott almost seeming like he wanted to just launch a surprise attack there to see if he could catch him off guard, but didn't quite work this time. Thankfully, everybody got through that corner because you usually have big accidents there if you do that. Meanwhile, as it's Strefford in a nice little fight, Gilliland as well in the mix with it as they come across Madison Avenue. We're on board with Gilliland, watching forward.
Yeah, riding on the 280 here. We're going to go thankfully went back into single file. That you see it kind of feeds from left into the right-hander apex. So if you go too wide through there, it has to be cooperation between both parties. And usually that only happens when you're truly up alongside each other.
And that, was actually Vitiello ahead of Gilliland there that they're battling with. And, of course, we've got the 247 also fighting with them. So, big battle is that Bowden ahead?
No, that's the 203 car, so I believe this is still a little bit further down.
Yes,
I see Therese Lalu, I see Reinhold Kron.
Similarly painted cars.
Very similarly painted cars. But, you had mentioned Therese Lalu a little bit earlier. She's this fourth car in line.
Oh, wow.
And she's actually done a tremendous job to move up inside the top 10 overall.
I mean, that's been a bit of her MO a couple times this season, is just wind up in the back for whatever reason, and then she charges forward. And maybe it's a lot of hard work, but she makes it look impressive. That is without a doubt. And this time we are actually up to that battle for the lead in the Masters. And I think that answers our question. Now that Danny's through, he's taken off.
And you asked, can you overstep the limit in the pass? Well, guess what? I think he did a perfect job executing that outside pass in turn number 1. Wasn't rubbing any fenders, wasn't banging any bumpers out there. And ever since he's gotten clean air, 151.8. That's his personal fastest lap, only about 2.5 tenths off of our leader. That's a full second and a half faster than what he was doing behind Caden Kelly.
Wow. Yeah, he was no doubt getting a little bit frustrated there, knowing that there was more pace in the car, but at least now he can unleash it, even if he's lost touch with Kleck, who still remains at about 8.5 seconds up the road. 4 minutes plus a lap to go. Just a couple laps left in this race to wrap it up. Caden Kelly still your leader in the Masters, but it has been a nerve-wracking fight up there.
We always see this ruckus racing machine of Scott Blend towards the front of these races, and today obviously no different. A little bit wide coming out of turn number 1. Actually lost, call it about 2 car lengths to our class leader of Caden Kelly. But I was going to point out just that Fall Line Motorsports machine with Mark Bowden. They had car issues yesterday. The team was here late into the night to make sure that everything was A-okay. I'm sure they are loving seeing their driver put it on a podium so far.
Yeah, both second and third in class have had issues because Scott Blend also nosed his car into the tires at turn 3 during testing a little bit earlier this week. Had to thankfully only replace some bodywork, said the car was fine, just learned his lesson not to go a little bit too wide through there.
That's the corner that we saw Hutter have his problem in on lap number 1. It's a very common place, and quite honestly, knock on every piece of wood that we got in here in this broadcast booth. That oak tree turn, usually a little bit of a dangerous corner for these GT cars, but all of our drivers this weekend seem to be navigating that area of the racetrack to perfection.
We've seen an off on exit once or twice, but otherwise, yeah, I'm really impressed with how everybody's been handling that corner. Much safer coming down into roller coaster this time from Caden Kelly. Definitely putting his arm out and preventing Scott from getting near enough to trying to tackle, though he was a little wide there through the second part.
After we had that full course yellow to really kick things off, this has kind of become a very dramatic sprint, right? Because I think it was about 25 minutes or so when we went back green flag racing. And, I mean, I just looked up at the tower, 2 minutes plus 1 lap. So I think we should be about 3 laps to go here. These cars are doing, like I said, about 151s. But time's running out if you want to grab one of these Masters class wins.
Exactly. It's still some close fighting here for those podium positions. And I think the big takeaway for me on this is that these 3 have got to be picture perfect. Any mistake is going to be pounced on.
It is hot here in Virginia. It is hot inside the race cars. It is hot on that pavement of the track surface. The drivers have to manage every single bit of that. And, Joe, to your point, yeah, you don't want to overstep the limit out there. They've done such a tremendous job to get it this far. You have to stay inch perfect in these sort of conditions.
We were talking about the domination that Cole Kleck has had as he puts a lap on the 218 and heads on by Groombridge. But the results so far, all first places except for the first race at Sonoma, where we mentioned Cole Kleck had an error on a restart and was penalized for that and wound up scored 9th that day. So it's, I mean, it would be literally a perfect score if it wasn't for that one mistake that he's made. And it looks like he's still trying to make up for that and really just putting his foot down over the rest of the field.
Accelerating out of hog pen, up the front straightaway, and I still see time on the clock, so we should have 2 laps remaining. Cole Kleck doing an excellent job. That last lap, he is still the fastest car on the racetrack. He must have gotten a message and said, you know what, that 252 of Danny Dashelski who lined up beside you, he's now in clean air, so you better up your game. That last lap out of Cole, a 151.4.
So I want to give some love to Evan Hinkle. Apologies, I called him Eric a little bit earlier. Third place, I mean, yes, it's been a bit of a quiet one in comparison. Oh, and I'm in another mistake. How did he hold on to that car? Drifting it down through turn 5. The wheel was inches from touching the grass, and he caught it just in time. He might lose a couple seconds, but I feel like he lost a lot more in sweat right there.
He got us both standing up here in the broadcast booth pretty much. That was a huge slide coming out of turn 5 into 5A. And thankfully, you are on the gas in that section of the racetrack, so it's more throttle steer. And thankfully, he was able to save the car before it actually reached the outside grass limit. But I think he might go back and look at the in-car on that one and be like, maybe I don't need to quite push it that hard.
I'm a bit curious if what is going on this weekend, because like we said, we've seen Jens Hansen, who rarely makes mistakes, make multiple this weekend, and now Cole Kleck having issues here and there. Now, I'd say they're slightly more minor than what we've seen out of Jens, but it seems like our usual bulletproof drivers are all kind of tripping and falling at times.
It's hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hot. It's humid. I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse out here, but you walk outside here at VIR and probably within 90 seconds, you're already sweating. So it's got to be hot inside these race cars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right that is the big factor, is the white flag waves for Cole Kleck still, even with that last lap, finds himself leading by a huge margin. We hop on board. Joey, talk us through how to be fast here.
Well, all you got to do is watch Cole Kleck and watch his hands. We're coming up to the sector that he had that little bit of a bobble previously, so this is coming up to turn number 4, get it down into second gear, all the way up over on that driver's left curb, and this is where he had that huge slide. Little bit of some fast hands there, but gets it tucked back into the apex, and of course, this is my favorite section of the racetrack, Joe. The uphill S's. Look at the throttle. Look at the speed. We're at the top of 5th gear, 146, 147, not lifting off the throttle one bit. A little bit of a breathe to set the nose at the top, and that was it.
And then it's through South Bend. He'll hit Oak Tree one more time. Let's give his respects to the now missing eponymous tree. And then set his sights forward. Bit of correction as he bounds over the inside curb, but continues to fly down the back straightaway. We saw him hit nearly 150 there. Let's see how quick he can get here.
Typically, we see this back straightaway very, very rapid, and he has got 8.8 seconds between himself and the next closest competitor. He started on pole position, had an excellent hole shot, managed the restart to perfection, and now has 2 corners remaining.
Cole Kleck going to be answering everybody. You cannot catch me. I am just too fast. And is going to continue to extend now finally extend his points gap, break the tie between he and Metney as he wins race 1 in the GT3 Cup here at VIR.
Danny Jashelski should be coming by the start-finish line momentarily. He will finish second in Pro-Am, and I'm curious about this Masters class battle because it seems like it's only half second separating each of them. Caden Kelly is your class winner for the 992 Masters.
And that is going to be only his second win of the season. Blen still on the podium, collecting valuable points. An excellent run from Bowden with his first podium of the season. As for Evan Hinkle, I need to see if he's been on the podium yet at all.
And you know what else caught my eye? We were just talking about Therese a handful of laps ago in 10th. She grabbed another 2 positions up into 8th overall.
Amazing. And critically for her, she still gets a top 5 in her class. So continuing to add to her points, she will catch up to Metney. It's not going to allow her to override him, at least I think in this race, potentially. Maybe next race she could jump up to P2 in the overall standings as the last of our drivers flash past us here and managed to get all but one, finishing on the lead lap with just Conley, Poole, and Hutter, our DNFs for the day. Well, with the last of them going by the flag stand, let's go through our order as Cole Kleck is your winner. Jashelski, first time mid-season jumping over to the faster class GT3 Cup cars, and he takes a podium finish with second. Caden Kelly, your winner in the Masters, as Scott Blen finishes P2 for them, 4th overall. Bowden, 5th overall, but 3rd as well within his class. And Evan Hinkle getting himself an excellent podium finish here today with 6th. 7th overall was Tony Melito. 8th was Therese Lalu. Joel Johnson was 9th, and Reinhold Kron, Joey, was 10th.
Over into 11th was Todd Trefford in that number 214. Tim Kesman going to be finishing in 12th place with Laura Eli in 13th. Willingham finishes with a 14th spot with Gofferov in a top 15 finish. Frank Vitiello finishes in 16th spot with Gilliland back here in 17th. Tuati in 18th with Ripple Jr. in 19th, and Pat Womack finishing in a top 20 spot.
Behrman going to be 21st, Francisco de Jesus 22nd. You've got John Manship P23 after an unfortunate off early in the race. Woody Witchard P24, and you've got Shermer 25th and Levitas 26th. Eric Lapp 27th, Groombridge last in the field and 28th. Conley, Poole, Hutter, all DNFs for this race. We've got the podium ceremonies coming your way shortly. Stick around for that.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
All right, it's time for our podium ceremonies here in Porsche Sprint Challenge North America GT3 Cup. We're going to kick things off with our 992 Masters. Finishing third today, driving the 246, it's Mark Bowden. Finishing second, driving the 245, our championship leader, Scott Blend. And our winner today, driving the 208 with a heck of a battle up at the front, Caden Kelly.
Well, Mark, I'm going to start with you over here in third place. Congratulations. I know that it was a tough day yesterday, but the crew was up late and got the car fixed up for you.
Yeah, when it wouldn't start in the second practice, we thought, oh boy. But the crew did a great job. Thanks, Falling guys. Fired right up this morning and had a great race, good qualifying, and great race with these guys. I knew we kind of checked out from the rest of the field, and as I told them, we all made mistakes, but nobody made a big enough mistake to make it matter, and it was a good race.
It was a tremendous drive. Third place for Mark Bowden today. And then we've got Scott Blend here. So, Scott, a little bit odd not to see you all the way up on top, and you were kind of stuck in the middle of it throughout the entire race.
That's right, I was, but you know, tomorrow I don't want to get too used to that top step. But anyway, no, it was a great race, and you know, Wednesday morning my car was laying on its side up against the tire wall, and the guys did a great job, got me back going, and we're super happy to be on the podium.
That was Scott Blend, your second place finisher, and let me climb up here beside you, Caden Kelly. This one's got to feel good.
It sure does. I'm in the same camp, Ms. Blind. I've never been here before. On session one, I had a little too much confidence from the sim. Put it into the wall at turn 9 and saw a nice radiator splash. I thought my weekend was probably over, whether it was me or the car. So to have such a turnaround, I just have to give all the credit to Aaron Johnson. The boy just gave me so much support, walked me through it, helped me. He said, sprinkle a little confidence and comfort on you and you'll be good. And that's what he did over the last few days, and it worked. So thank you, Aaron.
I got to ask you, because you had a lot of pressure from Danny Dashelski, but that was a different class car. Did you make it up in your brain that you were like, hey, let's just let this guy go?
Yeah, so I let him go in turn 1, and then he had a little off in turn 3. I'm like, all right, I'll take it back. And then I knew it would just be a matter of time, and it was just good. The more time I could hold Blend back there, I knew that it was good for me. So,
great job, great performance, great win today.
Let's hold those trophies up for the cameras. And let's swap hats, please. Let's hold those trophies up one more time. And now you can spray some nice cold champagne. Congratulations. What a battle that was for all 3 spots in our 992 Masters here in GT3 Cup. Up next is the Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. That today goes to the number 211 of Cole Kleck. Congratulations to Cole for the Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. Up next is our 992 Pro-Am Podium. In his debut in the 992 Cup class, third goes to the 277 of Evan Hinkle. Making it a trend today, also in his debut in the GT3 Cup cars. Second goes to the 252 of Danny Dashelski. And finally, our winner running away with things. It's the 211 of Cole Kleck.
Well, Evan, let's start with you. Third place, and this is your first time in competition in a GT3 Cup car. You got to be happy.
I'm thrilled. I really can't believe it. I'd say one more lap and I wouldn't be up here, but I'm thankful for timed races and the white flag. So it's hot. There's a lot of people to thank, but this is really cool. I've come here the last 2 years with the series in a Cayman and with TPC, who brings great equipment. Obviously, Monoflow International, I've got to thank for putting me here, and Mike Skeen's the reason I'm up here today. So thanks to everybody that helped.
A tremendous job. Third place for Evan Hinkle. And we're making it a trend, like Joe Peak said. This is also your first time in a GT3 Cup car in competition. You've got a lot of experience in those Cayman GT4s. Do you think you're going to make the swap?
Yeah, we're gonna finish the season in GT4 this year, and of course I believe we're doing the rest of this, and just been enjoying this car a lot.
Well, tremendous performance today. Congrats on the second place, Danny. And then, of course, it is our overall winner, Cole Kleck. Domination today from pole position. How does it feel?
It feels great. And to be backed by my parents, my mom and dad here with me, and to have God behind me and this perfect team top racing with me. It's just such a great feeling to get a win with them and able to share it with them.
Now, we were talking about the last lap with Evan, but I think it was 2 laps to go. You had quite a bit of a moment out there.
Yeah, thankfully there's not a camera looking straight into my eyes, but I was pretty scared there.
It was a huge save off of turn 5 for everybody. Congratulations on the overall win. Give it up for your Pro-Am Podium.
Let's change those hats out. Hold those trophies up one more time, please. And now cool off with some champagne. Congratulations to the Pro-Am Podium. International Raceway. Join us for more action here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge.